Hello everyone. So now we are going to discuss about your control statements that we can write in Java. So there are two types of control statements that we can write in Java. We have conditional control statements and loop control statements. So let's first jump into what are your conditional control statements here. So the conditional control statements basically will start with your if statement. So if statement, first we are going to check a condition. If that condition is evaluated to true, then only we want some other block of statements to be evaluated based on condition. We are not going to do the simple execution, a sequential execution anymore. We are going to do conditional based execution now. So what happens is in conditional execution, if statement evaluates a block of code only when a specific condition is true, we write a simple condition. We write a simple logic to check whether the condition is true or not. If the condition is true, then only this if block will be evaluated. If my condition is not true, there will be nothing special that is going to happen. So only in the case where my condition is true, statements will be evaluated. But what if I want to do the evaluation wherein my condition is not true? I'm checking a condition and that condition is not true. So in that case comes the next block that we have here, that is your if else statement. So in if else statement, we have an if block and an else block. In the if block, I will write the statements that are to be evaluated if my condition is true. Whereas in my else block, I have to write the statements that are to be evaluated if my condition is not true, if my condition falls on to be false. So either of the two blocks will be evaluated, either my if block or my else block will be evaluated. So it gives me an outcome. The basic idea behind this if else block is to give a solution for both the outcomes when my condition is true or my condition is false. The next block statement that we have here is your if else ladder. Now what is if else ladder? In the previous slide we have seen that if my condition is true, we are executing some statements. If my condition is not true, some other set of statements are given to me for the execution. Now what if when my condition is not true, when my first condition is not true, I want to check one more criteria. I want to check one more condition. If that condition is also not true, again one more condition. If that condition is not true, again one more condition. That is basically my if-else ladder. So if-else ladder is a series of if-else statements that are used to make the decision based on multiple conditions. To just give you a simple example here, we have taken one variable number with the value as 75. So let's just assume that number is nothing but a score of a student. Now I want to give a grade to that student based on what is his score. So when the score is greater than 90, greater than or equal to 90, I will say grade is A. When the score is greater than or equal to 80, I will say grade is B. When the grade is between your 70 and 79, because that is what is going to happen, I will say grade as C. If it is between your 60 and 69, I will say grade is D. If it is below 60, I am going to say grade is F. For the current value that we have given to your number, that is 75, my first criteria is not going to be true. So directly I am going to jump to the else part and check my second criteria. Even my second criteria is not true. Directly I'll jump to my third criteria. My third criteria is true, and based on my third criteria, the result of this program is going to be grade C. Other than this, we also have one more type of an if statement that is known as your nested if else statement. In nested if else statement, what we do is we check one if condition and we nest another if condition in that block only. So if my first if condition is true, then only my second if condition will be evaluated. If this if condition is not true, then my second if condition will not be evaluated. This is basically my one if being dependent on my another if to be true here. So a nested if, an if statement can be nested inside another if to create more complex logic. Other than if statements, we also have one more conditional control statement, that is your switch case statement. The difference between your if statement and your switch statement is if statement may we evaluate a condition using your relational and your logical operators. In switch case, we don't do such a thing. What we do is we take an expression, we take a variable and we evaluate that. We'll check the values based on the case, and if any of the case value matches with my expression value, that particular case will be evaluated. So normally in your switch, we will be writing the variable or my expression name. Like in this example, I have taken one variable day with the value as 2. I'm putting a switch case on this variable day. Now this variable day, it's an integer number, so it can get numbers like 1, 2, 3. So based on the number that is there in that variable, if the value is 1, then the case 1 will be evaluated to give me the result as Monday. If the case is 2, then my second statement will be getting evaluated. So first statement will not be taken into consideration. Directly I'll jump to my case 2 to give my result as Tuesday. And that is what the result of the current program is, that is Tuesday. But let's just say if the day value is anything other than these two case values, that is 1 and 2, let's say the value is 4. So for 4, it will directly fall on to my default statement and will give me the result as other day. So these are the basic control statements that we are talking about. So what are control statements? Control statements basically in Java controls the overall flow of your program. Which statement is to be evaluated, which statements we can skip for the evaluation will be decided based on your control statements. So overall, these are the different control statements that we discussed above. That is your simple if statement. Simple if statement may the code will be executed only and only if the condition is true. If you want to do the evaluation for the condition being false also, then we have your if else statement. So if else statement may executes one block if the condition is true. Otherwise, it's going to execute my second block. If I want to check multiple conditions, like I'm not satisfied with the first condition, then second condition, then third condition. So for that, we have this nested if ladder. It tests multiple conditions in the sequence. And lastly, based on only the expression value, not on any condition, we have your switch case. So switch case will be based on the matching cases. We check the value of your case with the help of your in comparison to your variable. So that's it for the control statements. Thank you. So let's first see a small program of how to write an if condition. So let's say I want to evaluate a number, whether if the number is positive or not. So for that, first I'm going to create here my main method. I've already created one class. So let's say I'm taking an input from the user saying that number is equal to 10. I just want to print whether this number is positive or not. So I will start with an if statement. I will check whether the number, now for a number to be positive, it has to be greater than 0. So if the number is greater than 0, I will print the result as system.out.println. Number is positive. So if I'll run it, if I change this number to some negative number, let's say -1, I will not get any result because I have not mentioned anything related to whether if the condition is not true, what should happen. But as soon as I mention here the else part, I would say sysout, number is not positive. So for the negative number, my if part will be completely skipped. Directly it will go to my else part and it will be evaluating number is not positive. So let's just see one more. So let's explore one more simple example for the simple if else statement. So let's just say you are doing a UTS ticket booking. So just to give a case study here. So currently I have initialized one variable as user is a registered user or not, because UTS booking it is in an app using which you can book for the local train tickets also. So currently I'm saying I'm just checking whether the user is a registered user or not. If the value is false, as of now I've initialized it to false. In the if statement, it will check what is the value of this user register. Is it true or is it false? If it is true, it will display this as a message to me, that is please log in. If it is false, which is the current scenario, it's going to say me please create an account. So anywhere when you actually go and access to any of the portals also, this is the thing that will be asked to you. whether you are a registered user or not. If not, then it will ask you to create an account. So that is what the evaluation we are doing here. So you can see currently, since the value of my registered user is false, it's giving me the output as please create the account. But let's just say if I change this value to true, it's saying please log in because you are already registered user with me. You are an already registered user. Let's explore one more example on the basis of your nested if else. Same example of whether my ticket will be paperless or will it be having a paper. So now here in this example, I have taken three variables. So first variable is a string variable of type mode, whether my mode is paperless or with paper. My ticket will be printed paperless or on paper. Source, what is the source? From where my train journey is going to start. Destination, where my train journey is going to end. The first thing I'm doing here is I'm checking whether my source is not equal to null. Let's see one more example related to your nested if else. So nested if else के लिए I'm taking an example where I want to print a ticket. I just need to check whether the ticket will be paperless or on paper. So here I've taken three variables. One is mode of type string with the initial value as paperless. Then we have source of type string again. We are saying the source location, that is Thane. Destination, which is again of type string. We are taking the destination location where you want to travel. So we have taken the value as Kurla. The first condition which I am checking is using the AND operator. We are checking two conditions, and if both the conditions are true, then only we'll move further. So the first condition I'm checking is whether source is not null. Source is not null means I have provided the source. My source value is containing something. If I'm not providing this, that means my source is null. If this value is not provided, that means my source is null. But currently, we have provided the source value. We have provided the destination value also. That means it is not equal to null. So both my conditions, when they will become true, then I will go and check my another condition. So this is your nested if. So you have an outer if condition and then you have this child if condition. This child if condition will be evaluated only and only if the outer if condition is true. So child if condition may we are checking whether my mode is equal to paper, but as of now my mode is not equal to paper. So this condition will not be evaluated to true, but let's say here if written the value as paper, then this value will be evaluated to true, and if I run my code, this is a result that you're going to get, that is paper ticket selected. But currently if I keep it as paperless, source and destination both I'm providing, and when I'm providing both my source and destination and the mode I have kept here, else if I'm checking one more thing. If the mode is paperless, so here it's going to print it as paperless ticket. Let's say I have not provided or I have provided any random value. Now, this condition is also not true. My next condition, if else ladder, this condition is also not true. The last else part will be evaluated, in which it's going to print my result as to be default. See here. Now, what if I have not provided my destination only? Let's say here my source is null. I am not providing any destination, my source only. Or I am not providing any destination only. The entire if block will be evaluated to false because one of the value is now null. So source not equal to null is false. AND operator, one false condition, the entire condition becomes false. In the else part, if my source is null, yes, my source is null, it's going to prompt me to enter my source detail. So now it's going to ask me to enter my source detail. Similarly, instead of source, if I've given my destination as false, the destination will be prompted. Now let's see one example related to your switch case. So in the case of switch case, what we want to do is we want to check what will be my payment type. So if I say my payment type is wallet, it will be printed selected one wallet. If my payment type is API, so I'm putting a switch on a variable pay. So if the value of my pay variable is API, it's going to print selected 2, that is UPI. If my payment type I've selected here is credit card, it will print it here selected 3 credit card. If none of these options are selected, finally what we are going to get is, we are going to get this default case evaluated, which will print this as an error. So currently the value which is given for my pay is UPI. So when I run this, it's going to directly jump to my second case, that is UPI, and it's going to print selected to UPI. If I change this value, let's say to my wallet, first case with the case as wallet will be evaluated, that is selected 1, that is your wallet. If I give any other option here, other than the options that I have implemented, so it's going to directly give me the last default statement that gives me the message as error. So this is basically the simple implementation related to all your control statements.
To know more about Itvedant, visit our website